Italian football is ruled by northern clubs, namely Juventus, Inter Milan, and AC Milan. But it's not something new or of recent history. It has been like this from the beginning and was there in 1920s also when Italy was ruled by the fascist dictator Benito Mussolini. Well, not necessarily these clubs, but the regions which were dominating the game. Mussolini wanted to stop this domination of northern clubs and wanted the capital to be a bigger face. With this intention, he decided to merge all clubs of Rome to make a single strong football club, challenging the top sides of Italian football. So the three clubs of the capital, Roman, Alba Adige, and Fortitudo, merged and formed a new football club in Rome, AS Roma. But one club decided not to join along. It was SS Lazio, the oldest club in the city of Rome, formed in 1901. The club was named after the province Lazio in which the city of Rome is located. It did not want to merge into this one club as it wanted to keep its own identity and fan base. Being the oldest, SS Lazio had a considerably larger fan base than the other three clubs. They also had the support of fascist party member and Lazio supporter Giorgio Vaccaro, who supported Lazio's stance of remaining a separate club. But Roma fans saw that as a betrayal to the city by Lazio and its fans by not joining a Roman super club to compete with the northern elites. But Lazio preferred to retain its own identity and culture. Roma, after becoming a new club, chose red and gold colors, representing the city of Rome itself. This gave them the nickname of the Yellow and Reds, or I Giallorossi in Italian. The club's logo features a she-wolf, which is a symbol from the founding myth of Rome. This is why Roma is also referred to as La Lupa, which means the she-wolf. This emblematic connection beautifully ties the club to the heart of Rome's narrative. Lazio's traditional colors are sky blue and white, reflecting the ancient Hellenic legacy of Rome. It was also inspired by Greece's national emblem, the birthplace of Olympics, as Lazio, like many other clubs at that time, was a mixed sports club. The team's nickname, this, translates to the white and sky blues, while they're also affectionately known as La Aquile, which means the eagles, mirroring the team's proud and determined spirit. As the oldest football club in Rome, Lazio originally had the largest fan base in the city, with many from posh neighborhoods of the city and outskirts. AS Roma, on the other hand, had more fans from the working class, depicting themselves as a people's club. Historically, Roma has been more sympathetic to leftist causes, while Lazio has had a larger right-wing following, with a minority of supporters even leaning towards fascism. The difference in class of fans and political ideologies became a huge reason for the heated rivalry between them. This was the origin of the rivalry between the two clubs and the footballing division of Rome. The intensity, rivalry, and even hatred in Derby della Capitale are just on another level. There is a reason it is called the most dangerous derby of world football. It holds huge importance for Roma and Lazio fans. Considered as the most important football match for the people of Rome, this result is even more important to both fans than winning a trophy. This has also become more important because of the recent forms of both the clubs in top competitions. Roma won their last Scudetto in 2001 and Lazio in 2000. On the day of Derby, the city is divided and the winner's side claims their dominance in the city. The political leanings of the different groups of supporters add further to the intensity and hatred for each other. From the 1970s on, the fan-led groups started becoming stronger, and from there, ultras became a big thing and the face of supporters in Italian football. The hardcore supporter groups of clubs were not just going to support their team in the matches, but ensuring their voices are heard, making chants, tifos, highlighting their concerns to the players and the clubs, which some of them have become so strong that sometimes they even influence decisions related to players. And they contribute heavily to creating hostile environments for opposing fans and teams. They have also been responsible for many violent incidents in the past. Before talking about different ultras of different teams, you must know that AS Roma and SS Lazio both share the same stadium, Stadio Olimpico. In the stadium, Roma fans occupy the Curva Sud and the Lazio fans occupy the Curva Nord. The club's main ultras group, known as Comando Ultra Curva Sud, was historically significant in European football. It merged smaller groups but faded in the mid-1990s due to rival factions. The stadium's Curva Sud is now influenced by right-wing groups like AS Roma Ultras, the Boys, and Giovinezza. The Boys are considered the biggest right-wing ultras of Roma. The oldest group, Fedayeen, is the leftist ultras, even the name derived from far left. They actually have a very long history of standing for communism. The Boys and Fedayeen have been two political sides of Roma ultras for a very long time. The organized fan groups of SS Lazio originated in the late 1960s, with small supporter gatherings at Stadio Olimpico in Rome. Initially separate, these groups like Tuppermost, Eagles, Ultras, Vigilantes, NAB, CST and Marines eventually led to the formation of the first major ultras group, Comandos Monteverde Lazio, or CML 74, in 1971. A unity effort led to the birth of Eagle supporters in 1976. Their influence grew, with a significant moment being the unveiling of a banner in 1978. The 1980s saw the rise of Erudisci-Billi, a powerful ultra group that revolutionized fan support by adopting English chanting styles. Erudisci-Billi stayed as the biggest ultra group of Lazio for over 30 years. It was disbanded in February 2020, 6 months after its leader Fabrizio was shot dead. Fabrizio was arguably the biggest fan voice for Lazio. He himself reflected the ideology of Erudisci-Billi. He also had been involved in many incidents supporting fascism and anti-Semitism, and believed that Mussolini was misunderstood. And he was also not hiding these views from anyone. In an interview, Fabrizio once said, "We are a bunch of bastards basically." Today, all the Lazio Ultras comes under one umbrella, Curva Nord. While it's common knowledge that Lazio fans support right, but a minor section of them and some of Ultras are known for openly supporting fascism. And though it's a minor section, the racist and fascist chants do big damage. And it's not new for Lazio fans. It actually goes back to the time of fascism in Italy, as Mussolini liked their team and many fascist leaders had close connections with the clubs, like this guy. Some even claimed that they were Mussolini's favorite team, but it's fair to say that the feeling was mutual. Some of their fans, on multiple occasions, have gone too far in expressing their fascist and racist thoughts. In 1998-99 season, Lazio Ultras unveiled a 50-meter banner that read, "Auschwitz is your town, the ovens are your houses," aimed at Jewish supporters of AS Roma. And in 2017, they caused outrage by distributing stickers featuring the image of Annie Frank wearing a Roma jersey. They have used swastikas and fascist symbols on their banners and racist chants on several occasions. Racism is also way too common among Lazio fans. And the chants are not just limited to derby, but it's also against black players of any of their opponents, and sometimes even if their club tries to sign a black player. This is so deeply rooted in a section of Laziali because it's not just for the game, but more for their political and social views. The monkey chants against black players like Colodi Colovilli when he was in Napoli and against Rudiger when he was in Roma, and many more. In 2001, Erudisci-Billi unveiled a banner saying "Black Team, Jewish Supporters." It came at a time when two Roma players, Cafu and Jonathan Sabina, had been subjected to racist abuse whenever they got the ball. And actually, it's not just fans. Some Lazio players have also not hesitated to express similar views in the past. The most famous one is obviously their former player, Paolo Di Canio, was also a member of Erudisci-Billi and an open supporter of fascism. So much that he even celebrated a lot of his goals with Nazi salute. Di Canio was also a huge admirer of Mussolini, and he also believed that he was misunderstood by the masses. He considered Mussolini a man of principle, punished for speaking his mind. Another former player, Mihajlovic, was also accused of using racist remarks against black players. But Roma fans are no saints. While they are not famous for any fascist supporters, today they also have a larger fan base with a right-wing leaning and a good history of racist and violent behaviors, especially their ultras. And while originally an anti-fascist left-leaning fan base, today many Roma fans also share the same feeling for fascism and anti-Semitism as many neo-fascist Lazio fans. Many away fans have faced verbal and violent attacks, including stabbing from Roma fans, and many players have experienced racial abuse from Roma fans also, including their former player Antonio Rudiger when he was playing against them for Chelsea in 2017-18. But racism is actually not just Lazio or Rome's problem, but sadly very common in Italy football. Romelu Lukaku, Colodi Colovilli, Moise Kean, Antonio Rudiger, and countless other black footballers have been racially abused on so many occasions. And sometimes even the reactions are bizarre. When Lukaku was racially abused by Cagliari fans and they called him a black monkey, Lukaku demanded strict actions. Ultras of Inter issued a statement saying that it was actually a form of respect and a way for opponent fans to just support their teams and should not be considered racist. The statement also said that racism is not a real problem in Italy, unlike in many other European countries. And on another incident, when Cagliari fans used racist chants against Moise Kean when he was at Juventus, Leonardo Bonucci said Moise Kean shared the blame 50-50 for the racist abuse he received from some Cagliari fans on Tuesday. The derby in Rome provides one of the most hated atmospheres in the football world. The fights between fans and teasing each other is very common. As for their fans, especially for Ultras, it's not just about the 3 points or their teams, but the pride in the colors, history and traditions of their club, their ideology and the side of the city they represent. A battle to be the true face of Rome. As both sets of fans holds very strong views, the bias and narratives against each other are very obvious. Roma fans call Lazio fans Burini or peasants, as many of them hails from countryside, and also because Lazio did not join them in 1927. Lazio fans call them the team of butchers and Jews. Lazio fans claim that they are the original face of Rome, as the oldest club and reflect the true legacy of the city. Also remember that Lazio is actually named after the province in which Rome is situated, as the club wanted to represent the surrounding region as well. Lazio fans have been accusing Roma fans to label them as bad people and responsible for inciting violence or hate speech, even blaming them for violent acts done by Roma fans. Remember the Spurs incident in 2012, and it was said that it was done by Lazio fans due to Spurs' Jewish fan base, but actually it was done by fans of Roma. Sometimes the hatred and rivalry get just too ugly, and in the past it has also led to physical injury and even the killing of a fan. In 1979, Vincenzo Paparelli, a Lazio supporter, was struck by a flare in the eyes and eventually passed away. It was the first fatality of the derby. The derby reached its ultimate low in 2004-05 season when someone spread false news about the death of a young child outside the stadium after a police car ran into him. Both sets of supporters were shell-shocked. This sparked chaos, as fans thought the body they saw covered in the sheets was of a child. Despite stadium announcements clarifying that the rumor was false, riot had already begun. 3 Roma Ultras entered the field, urging captain Francesco Totti to stop the game due to potential violence. The match was postponed, but clashes between the police and fans led to 13 arrests and 170 injuries. In 2014, Daniele De Santis, a Romanisti, shot 3 Napoli fans in the Coppa Italia final and one of them died. This is just another example of the uglier side of Italian football. The authorities have also made various changes and restrictions due to these conflicts between both sets of fans and violence over the years, like fans are required to show identification when entering the stadium, not allowed to bring flares, smoke bombs or other dangerous objects into the stadium, not allowed to wear face covering or other items that could be used to conceal their identity. In stadium, restrictions like standing in the aisle or walkways, throwing objects onto the field or at other fans, using foul languages or making racist or discriminatory remarks. And fans who violate the rules may be fined or banned from attending future matches, and in some cases, they may even be arrested. In addition to these restrictions, the authority have increased security at Derby della Capitale matches. This includes the use of metal detectors, bag searches, and plainclothes officers. The restrictions also involved installing plastic glass, dividing walls in the Curva Sud and Curva Nord, splitting the section behind each goal into 2. The Ultras saw them as a restriction in letting them go and enjoy the match and making them feel like criminals, emphasizing that it's them who make a difference with support, both on and off the pitch. In November 2015, Roma's Ultras and their Lazio counterparts boycotted Roma's 2-0 victory in the derby in a protest against the new safety measures. Both sets of Ultras continued their protest for the rest of the season, including during Roma's 4-1 victory in the return fixture. Lazio's Ultras returned to the Curva Nord for the Roma's 2-0 victory in December 16. But the Roma Ultras continued to boycott games. Over the years, the clubs had tried to come to an agreement with the Ultras while ensuring safety measures and avoiding those racist and fascist behaviors. While the fans are now back in the stadium, the resentment and even protests against some of the measures by club continues. No matter what people outside of Roma thinks about the derby, for Lazio and Roma fans, it is still the most important match of the season. It remains the pinnacle fixture of the season, holding paramount significance in their hearts. The intensity, the heated atmosphere, and even hatred for other side are still the same today. The Derby della Capitale is a timeless spectacle that transcends generations. Despite its allure, it is essential to acknowledge the negative aspects that have marred the derby. The passion and intensity are obviously common in these derbies, but the racist chants, hatred, violence, and fascist remarks can never be justified. I mean, whatever the level of passion you have, instances of violence and hooliganism are simply a dark stain on this game. Placing complete restrictions for fans on these things may not be taken by them correctly, but still these actions have to be stopped, as in one way or another, these acts also contribute negatively to the popularity of Italian football and the ability of clubs to attract more fans and players around the world. Although it's still that what they care about more than their trophies and global fame. For them, it's more about being the supporter of a real Roman club, being more than just spectators and standing for their political views, irrespective of what people outside of Rome thinks of. After all, the Derby della Capitale is not just a football match, it's a rivalry that defies time, engulfing us in a tapestry of history, politics, and unwavering passion. AS Roma and AS Lazio, two giants forever entwined, painting the footballing landscape of Rome with vivid colors.